That's the we'll get on to the last game. So the tell you what, this was eventful anyway. It was a tough watch. We'll say the game itself, but obviously when it got into extra time and the excitement of it, Armagh, obviously Monaghan. What did you make of it?
Yeah, well, I missed the first half because the wee girl was down in Antrim and Glengormley actually playing in the Fela. They actually won the wee shield at the Fela near Shamrocks. It was brilliant for them. Like, but it was a great day out. Actually, we were away all day. Two different venues: St Joseph's Glenavy, wonderful venue, and St Enda's Glengormley. A club St Enda's Glengormley as well, and worth noting had put up with an awful lot in their history and their past as well. From a political point of view, so it was fantastic to see that. But no, I got up the road for the second half, and I got up the road for extra time and penalties, and I seen it on TV. And listen, look, just Armagh again. We're scratching our heads, thinking to ourselves, how did they not win the game in normal time? And you just had that eerie sense of feeling when it went to penalties. Listen, there's only going to be one winner. And again, a big thing, obviously, the experience of Began as an out goalkeeper, maybe his gloves on a couple of penalties that maybe Ethan couldn't get his hands on, Look, I sort of felt a bit sorry as well for Callum Comiskey. He missed two penalties, in the one shootout. And that's tough for any young fella, and I'm sure his teammates and his friends and that will rally around him. And it's a horrible way to lose a game. But it's unbelievable excitement. Like we landed back into the Newry Shamrocks club, and all the girls were getting pizzas and stuff, and they had the game on the big screen, and all of a sudden everyone just crowded around the screen for the penalty shootout, and it was just pure, for us as neutrals, it's pure entertainment, it's pure drama, and it's sort of it's something that I think has added to the game a little bit. Now I know there's arguments for, my father would be a bit of a traditionalist, and he was ringing at me and Sunday giving off saying, why is that not a replay next week? And I was saying, well, it had to be played to finish with the condensed season. But look, Conor McManus, I don't think there can be enough superlatives wrote about him. The man for the big occasion. He won the free at the end as well. Clipped an unbelievable free from under the Hogan stand as well. And scored his two penalties. You can't really ask for much more. But
he's. Can I just say, Vinnie Corey has managed that situation very well, because he's obviously come in his first year. I know you see kind of different dynamics, the older players being kind of nudged out the door small bit, and obviously look at managing that. And obviously Kieran Hughes came on the last day. McManus, Darren Hughes is kind of started, but he was kind of drifting in and out of the team at the start of the year, and just them older statesmen, ego obviously and pride obviously come into play here when you're coming to the end of your career. You don't, McManus obviously he's one of the best forwards of all time here. Let's be honest. In McManus's heyday was absolutely outrageous stuff.
A GA sensation, a sensation of it. And look, I think the big challenge there, and what you're saying there about Vinny, is that a lot of these boys he would have played with. The Darren Hughes, the Rory Baggins. I'm just looking at the list here. He would have played. He would have played with McCarthy. He would have played with. Just looking here, Karen might have been about Jesse Ward, certainly. Kieran Hughes, Conor McManus. Quite a large proportion. Fintan Kelly actually still around that panel. A large proportion of those lads he would have played with. So that can have an advantage, but it can also be a huge disadvantage as well. When managing your peers that you played with. But no, he has handled it very well. Vinny's a shrewd operator, and Martin Corey, his brother, is a very, very shrewd coach as well. And obviously, look, Monaghan have a huge amount of experience. I do think, and I'm not being disrespectful to them. I do think this is the end of the road for them. I think that this is probably as good as it gets for Monaghan. Unfortunately, I just don't think they've got the capabilities of the tools to beat Dublin, and that's not me being disrespectful. I think Monaghan are a fantastic side. I think Monaghan's best opportunity ever to get to an All-Ireland final was when Malachy Rourke was there in 2018, and they were beaten by Tyrone by a point in an All-Ireland semi-final. They were grossly unlucky, and a lot of those players 5-6 years ago were in their prime, and playing the best football of their careers, and I'm sure they might look back on that as maybe one that not got away, but certainly one opportunity to get to an All-Ireland final. And I think the glass ceiling for this group probably would be an All-Ireland final. Are Monaghan good enough to beat Derry or beat Dublin and then go on to beat Kerry? I don't think so. And I think that realistically, anyone looking outside now, the group will believe because they're a very, very tight group. They have obviously a phenomenal level of spirit and togetherness about them. But to be under no illusions, Carl O'Connor and Conor McCarthy, we talked about them last week. Their impact from half back in this team is huge. Is huge. Micheál Bannahan at centre half forward is
good player.
A brilliant season for him. Jack McCarron has stepped up this year. Gary Mohan is a real out and out ball winner. Really aggressive, powerful ball winner. Desi Ward brings a huge amount of experience to the group as well. Look, they've got a good side. They have got a good side, but I just don't know where you're going to plug the holes against Dublin. I think they're going to be looking, going right. Where's our matchups? Who do we do? And I just think there's too many. There's just too many variables to beat Dublin there,
Like with Armagh, obviously, look at like I mentioned yesterday, Rian O'Neill as well. He obviously stepped up against Galway last year with the final free, and then he had a bomb to. We all thought it was the match winner here, the outside the boot from 45 yards. Like it was a sensational score, and then obviously McGeady was coming on. About timekeeping, was that normal time or extra time? I'm not sure. I can't think of it now.
I normal time 7-8 minutes or something. I've a stickler about this end of myself. I think I've never seen a sport that creates as much injury time as the GA, and even in school. No, honestly,
it's got more. It's definitely got more now, Stevie. The last few years, it's got 10 minutes.
It's ridiculous. I remember in a school match. This is no word of a lie. A school match about 10 years ago, and down in Park Ashler, when we were playing. Former school of mine, Clonmel Kilkeel, we were playing St Mark's, and the game, it was like an under 14 game. There was 7.5 minutes injury time. I think they scored a goal the last kick of the game to win by a point. I'll never forget that. And you just wonder yourself, where did they get this level of injury time? And I think McGeady made the point of, the referee is nearly playing God for teams. Like, he's dictating how much injury time there is, and only human nature. If there's a point in the game and the crowd's up and the excitement's up and the time's up and the opposition have the ball and they're attacking, it should be the final whistle. Like in soccer, it doesn't matter if a ball's in mid-air going into a penalty box in soccer and it's 1-0 or it's 2-1 and there's 6 men in the penalty box ready to head it into the net. Full time blows, it's irrelevant. Like, but we have this tendency to nearly play on and give them another chance, and it's madness. Like, it's absolute madness. And I think the only way to control it is, particularly at inter-county level, is the shot clock, or not the shot clock, sorry, the timer, they use in the ladies' football, because or have a fourth official that controls it, or whatever, and because it has got. And honestly, it's got ridiculous. And I've said this for a number of years. I said this a number of years ago. I thought the level of timekeeping, like Monaghan were robbed a number of years ago in when Dublin were in their real prime in a National League game. I'll never forget it, actually. They were something like 8.5 minutes in injury time, like Dublin kicked the equaliser, and it was just madness. You were going, where does this time come from, So, look, they reckon 30 seconds for a substitution.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
So there's 5 minutes straight away, like, which is nonsensical, like, you know what I mean? Because substitution can be made straight away. If a team's chasing the game, subs run off in 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Subs
no, it's bad. Like,
5 seconds.
Well, like for obviously, see, we were like Armagh here, like they're going to be. We said this last week. Like if Armagh were to lose this game, it's going to be absolutely heart-wrenching stuff here. Like obviously, this is 2 years now in a row. For 2 like penalty shootouts. Actually, they've obviously lost. Is it like it's just I don't want to say is a change coming, or like do they need a change? I never would advocate for someone like losing their job here, like, but like this, like this is kind of Armagh, like Donny came in this kind of year 3 with Donaghy, I think, and McGeady as a kind of pair together. This is Vinnie Corey's first year under Monaghan. To be honest, like Monaghan should not be getting, like, there's no way in hell anyone in the country would say Monaghan would be in the last 4 of an All-Ireland series at the start of the year. Absolutely no way. So it's just like, where do Armagh go from here?
Well, look, it's very straightforward. It's like this. I'm going to reverse that question. Where did Armagh come from before here? So before, if you want to go, before McGeady, and obviously, people are obviously looking for change. I think Armagh people are very, very very ambitious. I'm just going to say that. I think they're very ambitious in the reading of where they feel their squad is and where they feel their team is. I think there's a lot of really good footballers in that team. Is there enough footballers in that team to win in All Ireland? People might say no, but he has certainly ingrained a level of belief in them that they feel they can contest, at the latter stages of the championship. I think the last 2 years they've been very, very unlucky to go out in the quarter-final, so we haven't an opportunity to see them in a semi-final. But certainly what he has done for me is very straightforward. He has brought in a culture into the group where, the players are in a very, very high performance environment. They have Julie Davis, who has added a level of consistency to the S&C. They have a group of players there that have committed to Armagh now for a long, long number of years, who are developing physically, who are developing, a mental toughness about them as well. They have a few issues in a few positional areas in their team. I'm looking through their team here now, and I'm certainly thinking that, there's one or two areas there that could be exploited by a really, really good side. But for me, and unquestionably, I think Kieran McGeeney is maximised what he has there. I think he's got the best players playing for Armagh. Armagh club football is not on a spectacular level. I watch a good bit of it myself. I'm very, very local.
Yeah.
I live minutes from the Armagh down border. Armagh underage teams are not shooting the lights out either. There's not a conveyor belt of massive talent coming through. He picked up this group when they were bottom of Division 3, got them to third in Division 1 last year, Ulster final, hasn't had the silverware, hasn't had the trophies to show for it, but really and truly, when you look back over the last 7 or 8 years, who has won the All-Ireland? Dublin 6 times, Dublin 7 times over the last 8 or 9 years, Dublin 7 times, and Kerry once, Tyrone once, and you're sort of thinking to yourself then, there's only one trophy can be handed out, and Ulster is just so difficult to win. It's so difficult to win. Like, it's been, what has it been now? 30 years since Down won an Ulster title. 30 years. Next year will be 30 years since Down won an Ulster title. Ulster titles don't grow in threes. They're very, very difficult to win. They're very, very hard to win. So I think Armagh people probably have, particularly this generation, maybe have that sort of early noughties, mid noughties. That sort of group where they're thinking, Jesus, we should be winning Ulsters every year, and it doesn't work like that, Enda. It doesn't work like that, and it's like the old adage, grass is always greener on the other side, and I remember, just years ago, my father sort of saying to me about jobs and stuff like that. Everybody always thinks that there's something better out there. I'm all right where I am, but I would love to be there, or I think that's better, or this is better. It's not always the way, and just careful what you wish for. Who will take the job, because whoever comes in and takes the job, you're probably having to start from scratch again, because I'm sure that the likes of Julie Davis, the backroom team, they'll all go as well. If he goes, they'll go. But when you've got a manager that all the players love and admire and respect, you're halfway there. You're halfway there, and maybe you can talk about luck, but there is a huge element of luck in management. It's a massive. Timing and luck is everything. If you're in the right place at the right time and you get a wee bit of luck and a wee bit of momentum, it makes you. It makes you, but if your timing's off, and a lot of the time, it comes down to just timing in it. If you're in the right job at the right time, things go well for you, and all of a sudden then you're made, and there's probably been a pressure on Kieran, because the silverware and the trophies haven't arrived. But I genuinely don't think that should be a measure of success for Armagh. I don't. I think that the level of success and how they should measure success is where the group have come from and where the group are now, even from a culture perspective, and I think that's important to note.
Okay. No, that's very comprehensive, in fairness. No, look, obviously people are going to, look at you. You've been around the block, Stevie. You know how these things go. After a crushing defeat like that, people are always are going to be asking them questions like, as you said, the grass is always greener. Look, McGeeney has done a really good job. Look at that Ulster. To me, he just needs an Ulster title just to kind of cement that progress he's made over a number of years as where they've come from. It's very frustrating on his part, that's all. So look, I
suppose it's like anything. It's like, it's like society in general. Like, people just want instant success. They just want change. If something's not working, fix it. Mobile phone's not great, right? Get rid of it. Get a new one. My car, right? Get rid of it. Just get some. It's the society we live in. And particularly supporters and the likes of that. Can be very, very fickle. People involved in football in general are fickle. Football people are, they just want, if it's not working, get rid of them. It's no good or whatever. This isn't working. You've one bad performance, team's not fit. you have two bad performances, he doesn't have a clue, and it's mad like how society and football in general is. And I think the other side of it as well too, Enda, which is important to note as well, the toxicity that exists now, because social media has created now a vacuum of clowns that can actually just say what they like with no accountability whatsoever, can abuse and say whatever they want to you, could be real, cut ribbon stuff, and there's no accountability at all, and that's the big thing as well of 2023, is that it's the sort of social media brigade that, get rid of him and just get somebody new, we're not happy. And people can actually look at that and think that that's what everyone in that county or that place believes, and it's probably not. Ask proper football people, ask people who are knowledgeable, and probably as well, one thing that he has probably done as well is from a county board perspective, is that probably raised a lot of money for the county as well, which a lot of other people haven't done, and has dedicated a lot of time and has got the time to dedicate to the job. And be under no illusions, it is a full-time job.
Oh, I know, don't worry. Look, on that note, Stevie, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Good to chat.
See you next week. Come on.
Chat,
Cheers, man.
Good.
Bye.